What advice would you give for a photographer trying to start out in a new city and a new market? What's the best way/ways to get a foothold in a new city? That's your question? I could tell because you did this. Yeah, you both have the same question. Okay, that's a very good question. And, I'm just going to I'm going to morph part of my answer and then completely rip off Joy Bianchi-Brown's answer, because we just did the show on this and she gave some great ideas. One of the things I would say is when you're starting out in a new city, which is what I did. We moved from San Francisco to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where we live now, and we didn't know one single soul in the whole city. We had no connection to the city. We just rolled out a map and said, let's try this place. And that's where we're currently living and loving it now. But I didn't know a single person, and the first thing I did is what a lot of you do. I went out and photographed neighbors and then their friends, and because I didn't really have friends yet. And I photographed my own baby at the time. It was just Sophie, and she was like 9 months old, a little bucket. And then so I went out and had enough to be able to create a portfolio that I was proud of. It wasn't a big portfolio. I followed my own advice even at the time, although I'd look back now and said, what was I thinking that was a great image? But at the time, I thought it was a great image. And then I got involved in my community. This is where I'll overlap with Joy's feedback, which was I joined a bunch of organizations I would have never joined otherwise, like the local area chamber of commerce, like the local mothers group, like there's two different moms group. There's one in Durham and one in Chapel Hill. I joined both of them. I helped do a newsletter for one thing and then offered to supply the photographs. Things like that. I got involved in my local community and I wanted to become the name that people thought of for a photographer. What I also did was photograph everything. I was very far from specializing. My running joke is that I was a land photographer. I didn't do aerial, I didn't do underwater. But if it was here, I could shoot it. And I did quite a lot. So when someone said, would you photograph this house for a real estate marketing? Sure, I can photograph houses. Could you photograph these widgets? Yes, I can photograph these widgets. And I did all of that, and I got established as somebody who was easy to work with. That's another big one right now. If you want to come up with the best advice for how to integrate yourself into a new city, establish a relationship as someone that people want to work with. They will choose a lesser quality producer who they can spend time with and not be frustrated by, than somebody who's extraordinarily good at what they do and is a pain to be around. Because life is short and you want to be around people who make life easier. So I would establish myself as somebody who's very easy to work with, very easygoing. Things don't ruffle your feathers. You're not offended easily. And then I would reach out to the people who are already reached out to the community. And what I mean by that is, who are the people that you know that are already involved in this community? A lot of people immediately think, well, I want to go to a local child's boutique and get my work up on the wall. Well, then they walk in and they say, this one's already taken, there's work on the wall, and they walk right out. What about going up and establishing yourself as a new photographer, saying hi, saying, I know you're extraordinarily busy. I would just love to give you an option to offer a gift to some of your clients. So you don't have to hang my work, you don't even have to show my cards. But if you want, I'd like to give you a gift for a free session or $150 or $200 credit or whatever the amount is, to give to their clients and you can come up with a price point if they spend over this, or if you just like them, or whatever you want. These are ways to start to get established, is build those relationships, to partner up with people who reach the market that you want to reach. A lot of times those aren't just children's boutiques, those are hair salons. It's where all the mothers go. It's the coffee shops where they hang out. It's the events that they tend to attend. It's the planetarium that always has the fundraiser and this and that. Meet those people and try to integrate yourself to meet those lists. But of course you have to offer something back. You're never just walking in and saying, what can you do for me? It's, how can I serve you as well? A fantastic suggestion that you'll see on the new episode was to, when you're meeting with if you're doing headshots for realtors, which is a really great way to quickly build business, is to establish yourself as a photographer, let them know you're trying to photograph children and families, and say, I would love to give you the opportunity to give a gift to anybody who purchases a house, a gift of a session. Hey, you're in this new home, let's get a family photograph of you in it. I mean, there's a lot of creative ways to do a lot of very cool things. What was the other one Joy had mentioned? About something just as simple as they wanted to get into dog photography. So they partnered up with a local, I believe it was a local groomer and an animal shelter, and they put on a co-event and brought everybody together. And then the event was advertised via the list of the groomer and the animal shelter for this new photographer in pet photography who looked established when I went out to the list. Join so-and-so with some great photographs. And then they got access to all that audience by holding this one event without even thinking about profit. It was just purely a marketing effort. So there's a lot of things you can do in that regard to get started in a new city, a new market. You don't have to know people to become known.